I'm Maddie Gardner at the WBTV News Now desk, and we are talking about our WBTV Good Question podcast. So without further ado, we want to bring in the host, Alex Giles, also a WBTV News anchor. Alex, a new drop this week. What is the good question?
This week, we are asking who is in charge of coordinating the lights that we see on the beautiful Charlotte skyline at night. That's the question we're asking, Maddie.
All right, so you're going to give it away up front, or do we have to listen to the episode?
Well, we, of course, want people to listen to the episode, but Maura Quinn is the name of the woman who works with Charlotte Center City Partners that specializes in working with businesses and stakeholders in Uptown and South End here in Charlotte. She's the one who kind of is the ringleader of rallying the buildings and companies together and kind of setting a schedule as to what these buildings have a choice of in terms of lighting up for the, for any given night during the year. Sometimes she will send out a schedule and let the businesses and companies, kind of know that, hey, one group wants to have all the buildings green on this night, or it's, 4th of July. A lot of buildings want to go red, white, and blue. This is the plan for everybody. But at the end of the day, and I thought this was super interesting, it's up to the company to ultimately decide what color they're going to have their building on a given night. So just because everybody wanted to be orange, say, for Halloween, if one company says, you know what, somebody in our company wants the building to be blue, you could end up with a almost entirely orange skyline, but not necessarily completely orange.
Which is crazy to think about, and I haven't noticed that yet, but I will say Charlotte is starting to become known for these coordinated lights on top of the buildings in Uptown. So I listened to the podcast. I think it's absolutely fascinating, Alex. What I love the most is how this got started, a way to show some Panther pride. So we're going to take folks back to the first Super Bowl that the Panthers played in. Listen to how Maura described this.
We all got together and we said, what can we do to show as a city that we really support the Panthers as they do this big run? We thought, my gosh, they're doing the finals and they're doing the semifinals and they're doing all these playoff games. And we said, crud, what can we do to show that we really support the Panthers and that we're, what can we do? So we came up with all these different things we could do. We did pep rallies. We closed down the center of the city. We had hundreds of thousands of people gather and support the Panther. It was great. And we said, wow, wouldn't it be great? We have a lot of buildings that have these lights on the top. Wouldn't it be awesome if they were all blue, like Panthers blue, for when they have the big shots, the nighttime shots on national television, because they were doing nighttime games and nighttime shots. And we said, that would be so cool.
Trying to make Charlotte stand out in prime time. I love that. And I also appreciate how she talked about how much work went into it in the beginning and kind of how that's transformed into a little bit of an easier process.
I mean, it makes sense, right? As technology has evolved and, the buildings have gotten better lighting, the LED lights that they can kind of change through a computer. They don't necessarily have to stick any sort of physical filter on the light to change the color. You can imagine for a large building, that would certainly be difficult. So I definitely enjoyed that part of the conversation because, again, that's something I didn't realize that they were doing, 10, 15 years ago, is having to send people up to the tops of these buildings to change out these gel filters in order to change the colors that were coming through the lights. Now, obviously, it's done with LED lighting and computers play a big part in that.
And I want to encourage people to go listen to the podcast because she talks about how exact that color has to be. You can't just say, hey, I want the building to be purple, because it'd be all different shades of purple.
Exactly. She went into detail on that. The other thing that I think is fascinating is that people can request a color scheme. You can, send her an email and ask that maybe you light it up. She used the example Hispanic Heritage Month that you'll hear her talk about. But she also talked about what she will not do for people. And I thought that was fascinating, how she gets a lot of requests that she cannot fulfill.
We actually have a bite from the podcast. Let's listen to that now.
And people ask me all the time. I don't get it. They ask me if, and usually it's something that the things that I won't do fall into a couple of categories. Things that are commercial. I will not ask them for anything commercial, which are kind of already covered. And then I won't ask them to do things that are just all about me. Not me, Maura, but all about me, the person who's writing me. For my birthday, will you do special colors for my birthday?
Have people actually asked that?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Wow.
Uh-huh. It's my birthday, and we're going to be in the park, and I'd love for those lights to.
I'm going to propose this weekend. Can you do something like that kind of thing? You know?
Yes, and that.
Oh
yes.
man.
And my all-time favorite that I say no to probably 3 times a month is gender reveal.
Oh.
That would be pretty
That's
cool.
a good one. I know.
That would be really
Yeah.
cool.
If you pull that off, congratulations.
Yeah.
I have to say, a gender reveal with the uptown lights would be pretty epic.
It would be pretty epic, but you can understand why she can't do that for one person, because then everybody will want that.
Absolutely. I know you're going to go a lot more in depth into all of this on the Good Question podcast. Alex, how can people listen?
Check out WBTV's Good Question on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. All you have to do is search for WBTV's Good Question. The episodes are in chronological order, so this will be right at the top of the list because it is the most recent episode.
And we've made it so easy for you. You can just scan that QR code that's on your screen right now. Alex Giles, thank you so much.
Thank you, Maddie.